Good. Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Powerful Fitness Podcast, episode number 28. And I mean, look, no offense to my previous guest, but this is by far like my most anticipated guest. I've been watching Drew fight now for a couple years, and so I was really excited to have him on. And I mean, I'm gonna keep it 100. This episode is for me. This ain't for y'all viewers. I'm about to pick. I'm about to pick his brain as a fighter. So I'm really excited for this. Um, Before we get started, I'd like to give a shout out to my sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Duke Concrete Finishing. If you need to get some construction work done, some concrete work done, and you're in the southeast region of Missouri, hit up Duke Concrete Finishing. And man, there's no cooler and professional concrete construction company around Cape Girardeau. And the thing is, with Duke, you're getting a real solid brother doing your work. It's not some big corporation that don't give two craps about you as a client. He's gonna be right there with you, hands on. I mean, I just seen him doing some stuff across the street from where I live like 3 days ago with one of my neighbors. So he does everything from small sidewalks to big driveways and parking lots. If you need concrete work done, hit him up. And also, I'd like to give a shout out to VIP Lock Studio. If you need your hair done, especially if you have dreadlocks and you're here in Cape Girardeau, you got to go there. Okay, Kanitha, she's the best around. Simple as that. All right, without further ado, we have on today Drew Gigax. Now, Drew doesn't have a fight name. We're gonna have to help him out with that, I think. Drew needs a fight name. But so Drew, let's go ahead and. So I know you're an IKF champion, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, so Drew is a USA IKF kickboxing champion, and I'm sure he holds multiple other titles. I haven't written everything down, but he's been fighting for a long time. So let's go ahead and just like introduce you as like a fighter and a man, like where you're from, how old you are, how long you've been fighting, and things like that. So let's just pretend that whoever's watching has been sleeping under a rock and doesn't know who Drew Gigax is.
I'm humbled by that intro. I feel like I'm a ordinary dude. You know what I mean? I just fight because I love it. Continue to try to get better. And it's funny when I do run into people out and about it. They're like, "Oh yeah, I've been following your career," and it's always just mind blowing to me because I'm for real low key as it gets. I'm at home. I'm with the family. If I'm not with the family, I'm at the gym. I'm not going out, so very low key. But, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I'm 30 now, and I've been fighting I think my first fight was at 20, so about 10 years now.
Okay.
18-2 as an amateur, 13 knockouts. I held 7 regional titles,
Ooh,
U.S. title.
Hold on, run it back. Say that one more time.
Yeah, 18-2 as an amateur, 13 knockouts.
Dang.
And held 7 regional titles, U.S. title. I fought for Team U.S.A. So those are all great experiences.
The Waco team?
At the time, it was Kick International, but it got, I believe, bought out by Waco.
Okay.
Or they like merged into one or something like that. So I got to fight for Team USA when the trade embargo got lifted with Cuba. We went over there and fought Team Cuba at the stadium where the men's U.S. basketball team played in the Olympics. So that was pretty cool. And then now as a pro, I'm 12-4. I held the IKF Interstate, the IKF U.S. pro title. I fought for a world title in Hastings, England last year. And yeah, now, I got a fight that we're in negotiations for, but it's for a title coming up here in May. I'm just waiting for the contract to get sent over and to move on to the next one.
Okay, yeah, I just seen you posted on your story, big fight news coming, and I was definitely going to ask you about that. So is there a specific date in May?
Yeah, May 31st. But you know how it is with fights. I don't really want to get into it too much until it's officially signed.
Right.
That way we can get because you know how it is. There's always a lot of toxic people and things, and then sometimes they fall through, sometimes they don't. But I mean, this is a really professional company, so I'm hoping that it all lines up and it works out. But yeah, as of right now, May 31 is on the books.
Awesome. So, yeah, I don't know how much time you have, but I literally got like 6,532 questions to ask you. So,
Man, we'll go
uh,
until my phone dies. We
so
got a
let's
while, so.
let's start off with what what made you want to start fighting?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like I kind of have like that traditional story like you hear from a lot of fighters, just bowling when you're younger and that feeling of just like not insecurity or fear, but just like the unknown. You know what I mean? Where like
Right.
you walk in a room, you're not really sure if something were to happen, how it would play out. So really just building that confidence, and I've always loved watching fighting. Watched just like anybody else the Three Ninja movies growing up, and every
Yes, the
kung
Three
fu movie
Ninjas.
you could
Yes.
possibly, yeah, any kung fu movie you could possibly think of, over and over. Loved watching fights, and then just put myself in it when I was 17, and kind of just got obsessed and took it from there.
Awesome. And you know that I could have guessed that about you because from watching you as a fighter. You're a very cerebral fighter. You're not just like you don't just get in there and just bang. And so I could have guessed that because I was the exact same way. Growing up, I knew that I was smart enough to understand that from a technical aspect, I've never been trained in any type of way. I don't understand boxing, uh, karate, taekwondo, wrestling. I knew that I don't know what this is. Like, can I fight someone? Sure, but I don't understand like the techniques behind it. And growing up watching movies like you said, the Three Ninjas, watching Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, I knew they know some stuff I don't know. And so I feel
Right.
like that just goes to show your level of intelligence because honestly, people that are not that intelligent, they think they're good fighters when they're not and they've never learned how to fight. So that just goes to show like your level of intelligence and being able to actually look at it for what it is from a physical and a technical aspect because at the end of the day fighting is just physics. So
Yeah, I
so
think a lot of people. I was gonna say I think a lot of people see fighting, they see it as like the barbaric side of it, where they're, oh, it's just two guys punching and kicking each other, and really, I mean, it's there's so many levels to it. I have
oh
friends now
man.
that started training at gyms that I've recommended, and they're like, you watch it in person, you watch it on TV, and you think I could do that, or why doesn't he just do this? He's like, and then you get in there, and then you're squared up with somebody and you're scared, you're hesitant, you don't know what they're going to throw, you're trying to think about what to throw, they're holding your breath, you're not stepping the right way, you're not keeping your hand up, you're not ankled, you don't have your knee in the right position. You know what I mean? There's just so many things, and they're like, we get it now. And I'm like, that's why I would say every single person that wants to like judge a fighter or comment on them should at least be in at least one fight, because if you haven't done it, it's so hard to understand. Like, it's easy to appreciate it, but to understand it is a whole nother thing.
Right. Absolutely. So all right, so have you done Muay Thai and kickboxing or just kickboxing?
Muay Thai and kickboxing. It's funny. I originally started out wanting to do MMA, and like that was my big thing. I wanted to MMA, MMA, MMA. That was like
Okay.
I was when I first gym I joined. My coach. I started out with Jermaine Andre out in St. Peter's, and for the longest time I was like, man, give me a fight, give me a fight. And for like a year of consistently showing up every day, taking my beatings, and going home, he was like, you're not ready, you're not ready, and I'm like, what do I got to do to prove you I'm ready? You know what I mean? I'm pushing myself. I'm staying after class. I'm showing up before class, like hours before and after. And then I would talk to him. He'd be like, "You're just not ready." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And then he was like, "Let's try kickboxing first." And honestly, fell in love with it right off the bat. Kickboxing, and then fell into Muay Thai, and then stand up in general. It's just like it's an obsession.
Okay, so then you did have some other you did train other martial arts.
Yeah, I mean, I've trained. I started out with kickboxing and Muay Thai, and then dabbled in Russian Sambo and Jiu Jitsu. And I
Okay.
did that for about 6 weeks, and went to a Naga tournament and did that when it was like really big in the beginning, when I was younger, and placed in third. And I just realized I just don't enjoy it. You know what I mean? The ground portion, I like hitting people, and I like the quick motion and like you hit somebody and you finish them or you knock them down, it's a different feeling than I got from when I tapped somebody out. I didn't feel the same.
Okay, okay. I can see why, but me personally, man, this I love choking people. There's nothing like submitting someone too. Like it's a beautiful feeling. And another beautiful feeling is the ground and pound. It's something different
Yeah.
about when you're on top of someone hitting them and they can't move. Like it's definitely different. But yeah, I
You
was
know,
curious.
I respect it though, because jiu-jitsu guys, I do love. I watch the ADCs on YouTube. I love watching jiu-jitsu. There's a guy out of St. Charles, Marcel, and I forget his last name, but man, watching him roll is like watching poetry. He's just rolling out of everything. Everything's like water. He's just slipping and moving, and he just knows where to go. So it's beautiful to watch. But yeah, for me, I just love hitting people. So
Yeah, so that's something honestly I've been thinking about for the last couple weeks. The reason why I mean the okay, don't get me wrong. I love wrestling, I love jujitsu, but bro, it is so hard on your body. Like I just got done doing open mat earlier. I did probably like I don't know somewhere between 5 to 10 rounds, and I'm wrestling with guys that are literally over 200 pounds, and I'm walking around 160. But even guys that are my size, like grappling is so hard on the body. And here recently, I've been thinking to myself, you know what? If I could make a good living just from kickboxing, I would actually prefer to do that because I
yeah,
can train hard every day. And yeah, you're going to get sore, but I'm not going to come home like so sore it hurts to turn my neck sideways, because it's so hard
right.
on the body. And I was curious. I wanted to talk to you because, I'm right now, I'm 1-0 as a pro kickboxer. Still haven't made my pro MMA debut yet. And I wanted to kind of ask about like the finances. And, I'm not trying to get in your pocket. And I don't
No,
expect for
it's
you to
fine.
tell me how much you're getting paid. But, and how much should a pro kickboxer be getting paid when they start off and say they get about that, they get like 3-0 to 5-0, and I mean, are you supposed to get paid more every fight, or does it stay the same until you get to a certain number of fights? And does it matter what promotion you fight on? I've had a couple of promoters tell me that they can pay me more starting off as a kickboxer than they can for MMA, and I'm like, shit.
Really.
I'm like, yeah. I had someone tell me, I'm like, well, shit.
Well,
I'll
hook
just
me
do
up with those
kickboxing
promotions.
then. Well, I don't. I mean,
That-
yeah, I don't want to say who because I don't know.
no, you're fine. You're fine. No, and I'm an open book. So I mean, if anybody knows me,
But
I'm an open book because
for
it is what it is.
example,
You know what I
I
mean?
got paid $1,000 flat to show up and fight against Tyson Hicks. Like
Hmm.
what? That was like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and that was my
Right.
first kickboxing match. I was the main event. He was
Hmm.
2-0 as a kickboxer and 2-0 as MMA. And honestly, I feel like everyone probably thought I was gonna lose that fight, but I already knew I was gonna dust him up because I seen his fight. And your teammate that fought him, Jamise Taylor. That fight really showed me what I needed to see. And
Hmm.
I mean, I felt like Jamise won that fight, but you know how it is
Same.
sometimes when you go 3 rounds, you don't know who they're gonna give it to. So I made sure that I didn't let him touch me at all and really stuck and move. And
Yeah, it's funny. Jamise is a killer, and that dude is so talented, and it's I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. But and speaking of those kind of fights, it really depends on where you fight and who the commission is because, in MMA, it's set rules all around, right? With kickboxing and Muay Thai, things vary by whoever your ref is. And this is nothing to say about the ref of that specific fight, but I mean, you hear it all the time when if how long you've been fighting, it's just
it varies by the
kickboxing.
ref.
It varies by who's watching the fight because you got to think, for instance, I've had like 36 kickboxing fights now, and sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, it's glory rules," which at the time glory rules was one knee break, right? And then you get in the
Dumb.
fight, and next thing you know, you're in the fight and you're clinching for 5, 6, 10 seconds, which isn't a long time, but in the sense of one knee trade, it's not necessarily that. So when you have the mindset of going in one knee trade, you hit your knee, you try to exit, and you enter back into strike. It's they're hanging on, they're trying to. So then you hear, oh, it's active clinch, and then you hear, oh, well, it's the 5 second rule, or you'll hear, oh, it's one knee trade. You know what I mean? So there's so many different variables of whoever's watching. I mean, yes, state commissions have specific rulings, but it really just varies because I mean,
Right.
I've seen it multiple times
Hey,
where
look, check
kickboxing
this
fights turn
out.
into Muay Thai fights.
So I do wanna cover the financial topic, but just real quick while it's still on my mind. Look, so I went back and watched my fight against him, and I seen in the comments someone commented, they're like, I'm confused. This is 3 3-minute rounds. It's a pro fight. Why are the first 2 rounds only 2 minutes? And I'm like, what? So I go back and watch. Tell me why the first 2 rounds, after 2 minutes, you heard a 10-second clapper. So the first 2 rounds of that fight was only 2 minutes, and then the third round was 3 minutes. I'm like,
Whoa.
dude, look, I've literally went back and edited the film for this fight and made like my little
Yeah.
vlog, and I never even realized that. So it was supposed to be a 9-minute fight, and it ended up being 7. So I don't know
Yeah,
who
man.
the
That's
timekeeper was, but yeah, they dropped the ball on that one. They did, and I'm pissed now
that's
because guess what? Them 2 extra minutes, I bet you I would have finished his ass. But
it makes a
hey,
difference. It's
I
crazy
still
how much
won.
1 minute makes a difference in the fight. And it
Oh
was a good
yeah,
fight. I saw you fight. I mean, you did exactly what you needed to do. You know what I mean? So, but and then in terms of when Jameis fought him, it's crazy to think it's how it comes off, right? So if I'm standing there and I'm blocking all the shots, even if I'm blocking it, it looks like an advantage
looks
on
like
the
it's
other
teeing
person, right?
off on you. You know, the judges,
Yeah, but really, you're just like
half of them are, not that
never fought before,
not just never fought, because you don't have to fight to truly have a
right?
good eye for punches that are being landed, significant punches and little pot shots. But and then also I will say this: we say a lot about the judges, but it is actually really hard to judge a fight when it's very close, neck and neck, and
Yeah,
and then sometimes the referee's in the way, so it is kind of hard, and that's why I make sure, like, if I'm not landing punches, I'm moving out of the way of punches, because I don't even want him touching my gloves because it might look like he hit me. So
yeah,
yeah, like when I watched the fight against him and Jameis, I felt like Jameis won, and there was a couple times where he just didn't move, but he did block the shots. But it looks like, Tyson's getting off on him, like,
right.
so it's just, so yeah. But anyway, so yeah, like I said, I got paid $1,000 for that fight. Okay, my next kickboxing match, which actually it's gonna be a Muay Thai bout. It's in May. I'm gonna be getting paid $1,000 a show and fight, and then an extra 500 to win, which we already know I'm gonna beat this dude. So basically 1,500, and so I mean, is that like normal? Like what I'm getting paid, or is it less? Is it a little more from your
It's
experience
average.
of being around average?
Yeah. So to be honest, my first fight was for 300 to fight, 300 to win,
Okay.
and percentage tickets. And I mean, granted, that was like 2018, and it's up to a little bit more now, but
Yeah.
in terms of financially for kickboxing, um, unless you make it on the bigger shows, that's relative to what you'll make on a lot of shows, even if you're fighting for, 5 round fights or belts. I mean, to be honest, kickboxing, there's not a lot of money in it unless you, like I said, you make it to the bigger shows, or unless you can negotiate a contract. Like, you're a real good performer and you sell, what I mean? You show up in wins, you got the paint, you promote your fights, you have a big following. So, you know what I mean? So that plays into it as well, where you can negotiate. I've seen a lot of fighters negotiate with, hey, pay me less on the amount that you're going to pay me on the contract, but up my percent in ticket sales because I'll bring X amount of people to the fight. You know what I mean? So you can offset it in ways like that, but 1,000 to 1,500. I mean, that's relative to where, like, a lot of people that I know that have almost as many fights as me or more, take fights for that amount. So it really, in terms of kickboxing, Muay Thai, you got to really love the sport in order to do it. So
Well, I'll tell you this right now. Look, I love it, but guess what? I'm trying to get paid. I ain't with all
yeah,
that, look, fighting for glory. I done did all that. I done had 27 fights. 26 of them was as an amateur. I done fought bums. I done fought tough guys. I'm not in this to test myself anymore. I'm in this to get paid. I need some money.
right,
So for me, that's what, look, how much can you pay me? You know what I'm saying?
right.
It's simple as that.
Yeah,
And
and I think a lot of it plays back into, they what do they call the fight game? A pimp and prostitute game. It's what you can provide. You know what I mean?
right.
And so promoting yourself, selling out a crowd, all those things, help that number go up. So
So did you see that? So that's another question I had. Let me make sure I pay attention to my questions. So have you ever done just boxing?
no, I wanted to, and I had a pro boxing fight lined up, and unfortunately couldn't compete in it, just injuries. But yeah, I wanted to get into boxing. I do love boxing just as much, so that's definitely something in the future that we're going to be dabbling our feet into.
Yeah, because boxing pays a whole lot more than kickboxing, a whole lot more.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
did you see that Dana White just did this deal with a Turkish? I think he's a
yeah.
Turkish prince, or
Turkish Ali, yeah.
yeah. So now
His
now they're about to
Excellency.
have their own boxing promotion.
Yeah, he put him at the head of that too, which is crazy. I saw Oscar De La Hoya got really butthurt about that he chose Dana White over him to run that. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be crazy. They're already talking about crossover fights with Alex Pereira fighting Usyk, and Usyk entertaining it. It's crazy.
Right. So it's like right now, man, it's like a lot of
Yeah, the
things is
world's your oyster
happening.
right now, and you can do anything these days. So,
So you haven't fought for Glory? Is Glory still holding? Is Glory still going strong? Glory
yeah,
Kickboxing.
yeah, they're huge overseas. So the reason why they're not so much big over here anymore is because they stopped doing shows in the U.S. They just couldn't
Oh,
sell, and the promoting and the marketing in that aspect wasn't as great for the U.S. shows as it is in Europe and overseas. So they only do shows over there now. Actually, was in talks with Robbie Timmers, um, the head talent coordinator for Glory, for a while, and we kind of just lost touch. But that's still an angle that we're trying to get back to. So
okay. S- Um. So what type of strength and conditioning do you do?
yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, I do 2 days a week. My coach Quinn O'Brien, he's a super genius. That man knows everything. He's somebody who will put 100% of his effort into you if you're willing to also put 100% into your training and in your sport. So he does it all for me. He's somebody who's just constantly trying to get better at every single angle. And so for my strength and conditioning, I do twice a week. Um, one day I focus on the lower body, and the second day I focus on my upper body, and we're just doing workouts that help us produce our power and our strength, but not necessarily put on a bunch of muscle. So low rep, high weight, and then close to the fight, we work on like more explosive stuff to compensate for like the weight cut and the closer we get to the fight.
So what are you doing? Like jump squats? Like what we talking?
So explosive banded squats,
Okay.
or do banded squats, box squats where you sit down and you explode up, things like that. Or we'll do like when we're deadlifting, we'll do one heavy deadlift, and then you'll do one uh, jump, like leap across the floor, and you go back one lift, and then you'll do like a lunge across the floor. So a lot of stuff like that. I mean, we could talk more about it off the air, but yeah, just always adding more
Okay.
to it and getting better. So
So do you try to keep it kind of like lower weight, or do you go pretty heavy?
the further outside of the fight I am, the heavier I'll go. The closer we get to a fight, we kind of reduce that to like a 60%, but strength is the last thing you lose. So you can relatively hold on your strength for about 6 weeks. So we'll cut that out about 3 weeks before the fight in terms of lifting weights and go more explosive calisthenics and things like that. That way we can make sure our bodies well rested and recovered for the fight.
Yeah, because like me, I never did any. I never look. I just started lifting weights like a month ago. I never lifted weights before. The most I would do, I just shadow box with like literally like some 2 pound dumbbells. I never did any type of heavy weights because I always heard people say that when you do heavy weights, it's gonna slow you down. And I
Yep.
mean, dude, I rely on my speed when I fight.
I think a lot of people think about lifting weights and they think, you know, high reps, high weight, and what you're doing is you're causing too much hypertrophy in your muscles and you're putting too much oxygen in your muscles. And so when you get tired, you're muscles are trying to pull those oxygen. That's why your arms feel tired. And so
Right.
it's really about just getting with somebody who knows what they're doing. That way, you're ready for a fight, and you can also build the resistance and the strength that you need for a fight. Because, I mean, we've noticed a huge difference from when I started lifting to now, just in overall body physique and composition of how you can like retain shots, stay in the pocket, deal shots better. I think if you get a good strength and conditioning program, you can realize that I can throw the same amount of power, but with less effort because you know how to, one, use the proper technique, and B, have the strength behind you from what you've gained from your strength and conditioning. So,
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I never thought about it like that. I never thought about lifting weights being able to help you take shots.
yeah, I mean, if you think about it, right, in kickboxing and Muay Thai specifically, the Dutch style, you see them hard guard, high guard, come straight forward, and they're taking shots, so they're not moving back, right? And a lot of that is how you can absorb a shot, but B, also having the strength and durability to be able to obtain those shots, right? So I think my strength and conditioning has definitely helped in being able to do that.
Yeah, I feel like the core exercises is what really helps you be able to take shots. Having this very strong core.
Yeah, definitely to the body and overall, and having a strong core also generates the power you can throw in your kicks as well. So I agree.
So, all right, let me see what else I got. So, what's your diet like?
My diet, I mean,
I
really,
heard you was a I heard you was a vegan.
no, no, definitely not. You actually heard that?
Why you say it like that? What's wrong with vegans?
No, nothing's wrong with vegan, but it's just not for me. That's the exact opposite of what I do. No, I eat honestly pretty consistently throughout the year. I'm not really straying too far away. Like outside of a fight or after a fight camp, I'll take about a week and I'll go hard on everything that I missed. You know what I mean? Get it out of my system. But then I'm a pretty consistent dude. I eat the same thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner pretty much every single day. And that's just one because it's easy. I track my macros, and it's just makes it easier for me inside and outside the camp. That way,
Oh,
when the fight does come, I don't
you
have to.
track stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah, I never done nothing like that before.
yeah. It's definitely. I mean, another thing that you just learn as time goes on, and that helps you really dial in your diet to figure out how much you're eating, or if you're not eating enough. Because a lot of people do that. Well, they'll be like, I need to starve myself to make weight, or the weight's not falling off. The next thing, you're starving yourself. You're hitting the same workouts, and you can't keep up. You're tired. You're not recovering. Now you're causing injury. You know what I mean? So
Mm,
diet's definitely a big thing.
okay. So I didn't hear a single type of food that you eat. I don't know
That's
if this
funny.
he's
No,
got
yeah.
some
So
secrets or so. He's eating some stuff we never heard of. He's like, I don't want to tell him what I'm eating. So
no, no. I eat
you like
I eat
chicken,
the
steak. What type of vegetables you got going on? What's
yeah. I primarily eat chicken, rice for lunch and dinner,
okay?
and I'll add a vegetable in there depending on whatever I have. Breakfast, I'll eat 3 eggs, half an avocado, and a piece of toast. And then for my snacks,
Okay.
I'm eating fruits, and that's pretty much it. But I mean, relatively, I stick between 25 to 3,000 calories a day when I'm in camp, and then the closer it gets, it dwindles down a little bit based on my weight, and then the closer I get to a fight, I trade off my carbs for the amount of protein I'm eating. So I'm eating more protein, less carbs, but still getting the same amount of calories I need to get
Okay.
through my camp. So, I mean, it's down to a science. Like I said, my coach, he's got it all written out for me, and I could tell you what I'm going to weigh a week from now on my diet for fight camps now. So
Dang.
it's all dialed in.
Professional.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Um. So so how far have you traveled to fight? Like, what's the farthest you've went from Missouri? You live in St. Louis, so
Yeah, so the farthest I probably fought was last year. I went to England and fought for a world title, and that was probably the craziest experience I've had outside of traveling to Cuba. So
dang, England.
yeah,
That's
yes,
tight.
sir.
I've never left the United States.
Really? Oh man, it'll come to you. It'll come to you, and yeah, just be ready for the moment. But
I don't know if I want to.
really, why?
Shit, man, I don't even trust this country. Why do I like
Yeah, right.
trusting a different one?
You know, it's funny you say that because as an amateur, when I fought for Team USA, we went to Cuba. They broadcasted the fights, Team USA versus Team Cuba, all on all the TVs in Cuba, and so everyone saw your fights. And I'm telling, so I tore my split the webbing between my toes. I threw a front snap kick, and the guy blocked it with his elbow and split my webbing between my toes, and between the second and third round. And I looked down, and I got a pile of blood surrounding my foot. And they just wipe it up. They go, "You got one round left. You know, get out there." And so I won that fight. We went to the hospital. They stitched me up, and I'm like hobbling around. You got to walk everywhere in Cuba, so I'm like hobbling
Ugh.
around. Everyone is getting off their bench, carrying me to the bench, taking care of me. Everyone's being super nice to you. It's they treat you better sometimes overseas than they do here, but
All right,
it's
I'm out
insane.
of here. I'm moving.
Yeah, and when I was in England, everyone was super nice, out of their way to help you as well. It was really cool.
Dang, that's awesome. No, yeah, I definitely do want to leave the United States and travel. I feel like if I do leave, I probably won't come back.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great eye-opening experience just to one, test yourself against, fighters all over the world, and then B, see the world and C, get to explore and have great memories and stories for, you and your family when you raise your
Ooh,
kids and
you went to
tell them.
Cuba, man. Hey, what was the honeys like over there?
I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. I'm a married man, so I didn't even look
Ah,
at them. But but
you're a
yeah,
good
man,
man.
it was
You're,
it was it was honestly really cool. But it was crazy because we stayed in Havana, Cuba, like central in the around everybody.
that's
And so
awesome.
anytime I left the hotel, we had a Nigerian paratrooper as our security to walk with us. And
Dang.
yeah, it was crazy. Kids would run up to you and ask you for money, and you'd give one kid money, and then like 15 kids would run up to you, ask with their hands out, grabbing in your pockets, trying to get whatever else you had on you. So it was an interesting
Wow.
experience, but yeah, it was awesome.
Dang, that's tight. Wow. So do you have any type of hobbies outside of fighting?
No, that's the thing. I really don't. I still work a full time job, but luckily I work from home. So, and they're really flexible with me, so I can hit all my workouts I need for camps, in and outside of fights that are signed, and I got two kids, so really, if I'm not at the gym or training, then I'm at home with the family. I'm for real a low key dude, and just kind of keep it super simple.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, no hobbies outside of fighting. Good man. Good
Yeah,
fighter.
I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't party. I think I'm past all that. Really just focused on one thing at this time, and well, two things, taking care of the family and fighting. So
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, like me personally, I would love to have hobbies. I just don't have the time for it. I guess my only hobby is
yeah,
watching TV. Like at the end of the day, I usually get about 30 minutes to an hour to where I can just relax before I go to sleep and get up and go to work. And I usually just sit down and watch TV.
yeah, yeah. And I think that's the other reason why I don't have any hobbies is just, you just not enough time in order to
Yeah.
get the workouts you need in for fights or to excel and get better. It takes up a lot of time as is, and then the spare time I'm trying to give everything I can to my kids. So
Right, exactly. I do rollerblade though, but I mean that is a hobby, but I also use that. I mean that is exercise, so I mean,
yeah,
like if there's a day where I really just I'm like, look, I don't feel like going to the gym and swimming. I don't feel like going and hitting pads. I don't feel like doing no damn hill runs or running stairs. I just want to kind of do something that's a little more fun. I'll throw on my rollerblades and I'll go skate. I'll go skate across town, and I will wear myself out so I get a good workout. But I'm kind of having a little bit more fun with it. So that's about
you need workouts like that because if you have
yeah,
workouts that are just grinders or you got to be locked in the whole time, sometimes it can mentally exhaust you. So doing stuff like that is actually really good for you.
yeah. It gets very monotonous. So you know. Okay. Let me see what else I got. I had a whole bunch of questions. Um. So what are your goals for the future as far as kickboxing goes? Like, do you have any like real goals, or you just like just enjoying being a kickboxer and just taking it one fight at a time, or do you have some specific goals you have set?
Definitely specific goals. I think you definitely have to set goals in order for you to do anything, whether it be short term. I mean, I set short term and long term goals for everything. But I mean, yeah, my goal is definitely to obtain world titles in the sport. Submit my name up there to show that I belong with the best. Not only just beating guys, but I want to finish guys, and so my goal is to always just consistently do better and better, and get up there to where I can say, I'm a world champion. I've proven myself, and show everything that we've done has paid off. So
Okay, yeah, that's
I
awesome.
want to fight for I want to fight for all the big promotions. I want the wars. I want people to talk about, man, remember that fight with Drew and so and so? That fight was a war, and people mention your name and say, man, the dude's a dog. He can fight. You know what I mean?
Have you thought about fighting for ONE FC
Yeah,
or
yeah, I
one
definitely.
championship?
Yeah, I definitely want to fight for one championship. That would be an awesome experience. They have a lot of good guys. I think one 145 and below, I think is a hot spot for them, or 155 and below. They got a lot of killers. The higher the weight classes, not so much. I mean, they have killers in those weight classes as well, but it's not at like the rosters from 155 and below. I mean, top 10, top 15, top 20. Those guys are
Uh,
all just killers.
And what weight class are you again?
I fight 170, 175. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, maybe I should go to ONE FC because I'm a 145er.
Yeah, they got a lot. Yeah, that's a good weight class for them over there.
So let me ask you this, okay? So me, I'm an open book. I keep it 100. A lot of people they try to be, they try to put on this little smoke and mirror screen. Where I'm at right now, okay, just starting my professional career, I'm torn between wanting to just take any fight I can and then trying to make sure I take the fights that aren't the most challenging so I can truly build my record and not worry about taking like unnecessary damage, et cetera, because I ain't getting paid jack. It's like when you're getting paid $1,000, why you want a tough test? You know, when I'm getting
Yeah,
it, if someone offers me $10,000 right now, I'll fight anybody. Drew, I'd fight you. You're you're in a bigger weight class. It's not gonna be good for me. I'd be set myself up for failure. But hey, talking 10 bands, I can get some bills paid with that. But if there
right.
was like you and Drew Gigax, $2,000, I'd be like, what type of drug are you smoking? So
Right.
right now, so do you think that starting off, and so my last fight, um, in the back, the co-main event was oh my god, what's his name? God dang it, it slipped my mind right now. I know his name 100%, but it don't even
The dude
matter
you
what his
fought?
name is. No, another professional fighter. Um, Oh, Jordan Fowler. Okay, Jordan Fowler. He gave me some advice. He said, "Look, one pro fighter to another, I'm gonna give you some advice." Because he knew it was my first pro fight. He said, "In the beginning, fight for scraps, but take easy fights and build your record up." So, on the one aspect, that's what I feel like I need to do. But then I also have my days where I think to myself, "Well, if I'm not willing to get in there and fight anybody." The toughest, like I guess what you would call C-level fighters, then how am I even fucking ready for the UFC?
That's such a loaded question, and I'm going to answer it, I guess, in different ways because, I mean, you're not wrong. You know what I mean in what you're saying. So, um, one, I think it depends what sport you decide to pursue, right? So,
MMA.
and
Let's talk
yeah,
in
so if
terms
you
of MMA.
so if you talk in terms of MMA, right, you only got to be 5-0 to get to the UFC, is what I've heard from multiple sources,
Yeah,
right?
pretty much.
So in saying that, I know a lot of people do take that path where you take the easy fights, not easy fights, but fights that you could show out on and show your skill, and then move forward for a lower pay, and so that you can make the big payday, right? In a sport like MMA, where that's a possibility, so be it. If you're fighting kickboxing and Muay Thai, then those opportunities don't come as frequently as they do for MMA fights. I mean, you got to think when I first started fighting, most of my kickboxing fights were the only kickboxing fight on a full MMA card. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they were doing me a favor, honestly. And so shout out to any promotion that had me on when I was younger, because a lot of the time those kickboxing fights are just a favor, or it's a filler for a fight that dropped out on an MMA
Right.
card, right? So in terms of taking, easy fights, that opportunity doesn't come as much, because people that are pursuing kickboxing and Muay Thai at like this level, it's people who are passionate about the sport and have goals set, and the price of what they're paying you doesn't align with, sometimes what you feel it's worth, but it's a stepping stone to what your goal is. And then on that last point where you're talking about, I believe I'm the best, I should be able to beat anybody that they sign me up with. That definitely comes down to who you are as a person. I've never said no to a fight, and the only time I've said no to fights were fights where I was like, that fight's too easy, or that I'm not going to fight a can for just to pad my record. You know what I mean? So
You better than me, cause look, if someone tries to offer me a fight, I'm like, damn, it's like I got like this guy's got a 70% chance of winning to my 30% chance. Hey, look, nope, I'll fight somebody else, because the thing is this. Well, I guess earlier on, I wanted to prove myself, but now, I'm trying to get these bills paid, so that's why
right,
I feel like. And here's another thing too. I'm working a full-time job. So what if they match me up against this guy who's a tough test, okay? Tough fight. And he ain't working full-time. He don't got no
yeah,
kids. He can just train his ass off. And I'm at work from freaking 7 a.m. to 3:30. Then I get home and I got a good like 3 hours I can train. And he done train
yeah.
6 hours every day. Like, I don't want to set myself up against someone like that. And I don't know what type of time this guy's on. I don't know what he's got to do. So that's also like why.
I've had I've had fights like that where I'm fighting guys I know are training full time, and really, and I'll say this, I understand the mindset of, this dude has way more time. To focus on the sport. I had kids, I got bills, I got a full time job, and and I have all those things as well. And when I'm training for fights like that, my days are starting at 4 a.m. I'm waking up, I'm running because I got to be at work by 7. You know what I mean? And then
Never.
I'm off at 4, and then I got to go home. I get to see the kids for 30 minutes. I got to be at the gym at night till 10, and then I got to go to bed, wake up the next day. So, but I will say this though, the boost in confidence and your ability in yourself after you win a fight like that against somebody like that, I think really just shows how dedicated you are to the game and how hard you're willing to work to prove, what you can do. So, in saying that, I mean, I see both ends, but me personally, those are the fights that excite me. Somebody that they're saying, oh, so and so can beat you. So and so thinks he's better than you. Everyone's saying you're going to lose this fight. To me, all I'm hearing is, I can't wait to show you guys what I can do. You know what I mean? And so, granted, again, I think that also because I fight in a sport where I know the money isn't gonna be life changing, and I'm doing this purely for the love of the sport and the belief in myself that I know I can hang with the best. So, when those kind of fights come across my table, we've said yes every time. But like I said, I do understand what you're saying.
Mm. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And I mean, that's why you got to have a good team around you. I think a lot of people see fighters and they think, oh, well, it's all on him. No, you got to have the right minds and people that are looking out for your best interest as well. So,
And one thing about me, bro, I do. I hate losing. Oh my god.
yeah,
Oh man.
same.
I hate losing. So like, okay, so you probably don't know much about my story, but like I got out of prison like 6 months ago. I got locked up for possession of a firearm, and before that, I mean, I was just selling bud. I was selling weed, and I don't. This ain't I'm not recommending that to anybody. That's not why I got locked up, but I got locked up for possession of a firearm. But I was selling weed, so I was training literally like 4 to 8 hours every day. That was my full time job. I could sell weed like 2 hours out of the day and pay all my bills. So, at that point, it's like, dude, I'll fight anyone. That's back when I won the USA, that the IKF title, and
Yeah,
like I had all the time,
we
and
fought
it's
the
like,
same night on that one.
yeah, we fought the same night, and you fought the dude you fought. Man, that dude was tough. After you dropped him and he got back up and kept fighting, I was like, oh, this dude is tough. God dang. And man, that was the first time I seen you fight, and I was like, this guy is so calm. He's so relaxed. He's picking his shots. He looks like he's at a freaking picnic with his family. Like just
Oh,
your whole demeanor. And I was like, yeah, this is one of them guys right here. This guy's a beast. And I had, and someone had told me one time, look, I was talking to someone, they was telling me like how they'd like to fight you, and I had told them, I said, hey, bro. I said, hey, bro. No.
give me their name off there. I would love to know. That's one thing I love hearing. People talking about me. I love it.
I will
So,
tell you off air, but I won't on
yeah,
air. But I told him, I said, hey, bro. I was like, hey, bro. No, no,
yeah,
like no,
I love
no,
that. That
because
just that see this that right there. I'm in my head now. I'm like, I'm gonna go run. I'm gonna work out. I know I'm gonna push myself even harder. Like that's all. That's literally all it takes with me. Even guys at the gym, I'll walk in and they'll be like, "So and so was talking about you." I'm like, "Who?" And next thing you know, I'm hitting the bag harder. You know what I mean? It's just that's just how it is. So
yeah. Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's a beautiful feeling, man. That them things that give you that fire make you want to train hard. I love it. But
yeah,
but yeah, like I said, man, I really wish I wish kickboxing was bigger. Like I wish the UFC had kickboxing.
yeah,
You know what
that
I
would
mean?
be
Because I'm in this for the money, and I do feel like after you make a name for yourself, you can start to make some good. There is good money in kickboxing, but they just don't have really big organizations right now for
yeah,
it. You know, you
yeah,
got UFC, and then you got boxing, and then all the other martial arts outside of that. It's harder to make a living, but it definitely is possible. I mean, you got these guys now that are making a living doing jujitsu. They're doing
yeah.
s- they're doing tournaments. They're doing
Car
tournaments.
jujitsu,
They
slap boxing, phone
they
booth
got
jujitsu. I mean, they
well
got
well here's the thing that's really helping people make money as martial artists: content creation. You know, you got these guys, they got big
yeah,
YouTube channels, so they're getting brand deals. They're selling merchandise. I mean, hell, they go live and talk to their viewers, and people are donating money. It's like there's a lot of ways you can make money now, and it's just, and that's why I'm like, I need to get to the UFC, because once I get put on that platform, I'm set. I know I'm
yeah,
set, because all you have to do is get in front of all those viewers, and people are they're gonna be like, dang, I really like this guy. They're gonna watch all your content. They're gonna buy your t-shirts. They're gonna buy the pay-per-view to watch you fight. If you have a seminar, they're gonna travel freaking halfway across the country to see it. You know,
yeah,
and you're gonna get brand deals and sponsorships. So, you know, it's all there for us. It's just about just winning these fights and being a draw and being someone that people want to watch. That's why me personally, bro, I really try to make it a point to entertain my fans, because even me as a fighter, I love watching fights, but look, I don't like boring fighters. I like fighters that
yeah.
have some type of character to them, that, and it's entertainment, so that's also why I choose to keep my fights on the feet. For the most part, I don't usually try to take people down until they try to take me down, and then I have to make it a point like, no, I can take you down and beat you on the ground. So,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, I definitely think the more entertaining you are, the the better it sells, the more it helps your brand and so forth. So I'm right there with you. I've always been somebody who's like, I don't just want to beat somebody, you know what I mean? I want to finish them. That's always been my goal for a lot of my fights. So for all my
so
fights, I should say.
let me ask you this: on see, and that's the thing. It's like with this with kickboxing and even MMA, like it's so tricky knowing how much you should get paid. Like one thing that I did realize though, when a promoter hits me up and they offer me a certain amount to fight, don't accept what they're offering you. Ask for more, because they're not gonna offer you the top of what they can pay you. They're gonna offer you the bottom of what they want to pay you. So
Yeah.
you gotta kind of get them to come up. But so for me, like I do a lot of traveling and fighting, and I don't have fans that are gonna travel, 3 to 5 hours to watch me fight. They might
Right.
buy the little live stream that they're having, so it's harder for me to get tickets sold, which makes it like harder for the promoters to have money to pay me because a lot of these promotions they're not doing really good like advertisement for their shows.
Yeah, and I think at this stage, it kind of relies on us to sell those tickets. So at this stage in career, for people that are working their way up, it's about building your brand and being able to sell tickets. So I think that just comes with time, but also secondly, when you're fighting on promotions regionally, or even when you're just starting your pro career, it's really unfortunate. It falls to the fighter. You know what I mean? And so that's just and when you're out of town, it is hard to sell fights. And so I think you're right when you talk about negotiating a contract. I think it's just like buying a car, right? The ticket price isn't the ticket price, but you negotiate your price where you're both comfortable with, and then you can move on from there.
But check this out. So I live in Cape Girardeau, right? I don't know if you know the promotion in Cape Girardeau. And look, I'm
Cage
not
of Honor,
trying to
right?
Cage of Honor. And look,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to bash any organization. And anytime I say something that a person or organization doesn't like about what I say about them, look, I say what I say with all due respect, and I try to be an open book about these things because if I'm not, then us fighters, we don't even know like our worth, like what we should be getting paid, and people are just so quiet, hush hush about things. But so the promotion here in my hometown, dude, they're offering me less than I'm getting offered from all the other organizations that are outside of where I live. And I just don't get it. But they're like the biggest organization here. So
Right.
it's like, why is it they're offering me less than 1,000? I'm getting offered more than 1,000 outside of where I live. I don't get that.
Right. Yeah. I've never worked with Cage of Honor, so I'm not too entirely sure. But um, I mean, so I really couldn't speak to that specifically. But in saying like what fighters are paid, sometimes a lot of people obviously get management to where they can handle that portion for them, and then they work on your behalf. Because sometimes as a fighter, if you negotiate the contract, it just comes off of that you're being difficult, you know. But really, you just want what's best for you as well as the person taking all the risk, right? So sometimes I've had difficult negotiations for contracts, and I'll send it to my coach, who's perfect in handling those situations. But yeah, I definitely think it's about again, finding a team that you can surround yourself with that's willing to aid in your goal. So one, a manager that can help you out with your position, or two, a head coach that's willing to take on those responsibilities for you if you're in a crunch or you're not well developed in that area.
I mean, the thing is, like, I feel like I'm well capable of managing myself. The only reason I would want a manager is if this manager can get me more fights lined up quicker. That's worth
Hmm.
it to me. But having a manager just to talk to the same people I can talk to, if like I can talk just fine. I speak English, okay, so
Right.
I can talk to them, and then also I can negotiate. I'll be open and honest about what I expect as a fighter and what I can bring to the table, and I expect the same from them. But I feel like having a manager can help you get fights quicker because they just have so many connections and
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's what they say, right? It's not necessarily what you know, but who you know.
right.
And so sometimes you need people like that in your corner that can, because for instance, the the biggest fights that I've had have all been through my coach. The connections he's made from fighting, you know, throughout his time, and all the big tournaments he's won. And I mean, he fought on Glory. So, I mean, he's had a lot of big connections. So, my biggest fights have been because of my coach. Granted, it's also because of my skill, but I wouldn't be able to get those fights on my own. So, I think it does come down to having the right people around you and people that can, open those doors for you, as long as you're able to kick that door down when the opportunity comes.
Right. So, so when you fight, do you look for the knockout, or do you kind of just like do your thing, and if it comes, it comes?
Yeah, so I that's so funny you say that because when I was younger, I was searching for the knockout, right? I'm throwing gas on everything, and it's funny because all the knockouts that I've had have been the shots that I wasn't looking for, you
Mm.
know? So I've learned now in my day that never look for the knockout. The knockout will come if you do your job, you know? You set a game plan and you train it for 6 to 8 weeks, 10 weeks, however long your camp is. And it's just like muscle memory. When that moment comes, it happens. If you hurt somebody, obviously, to jump on it and put a little bit more on it. But in terms of looking for it, I'm never looking for it anymore. If it comes, it comes. But you'll gas yourself out trying to look for it.
Yeah, and I've gassed myself out many times in fights, so that's like, and I feel like that's like a lot of fighters' biggest fear is gassing yourself out, and then you got this beast standing in front of you. He's got 60 to 80% energy left, and your energy bar is like down at 30, and you're just like,
I've had that exact situation happen to me too. So, I mean,
not fun,
exactly. Yeah.
not fun at all.
Yeah, the more
So
the more you look for it, the lower it opens your window.
so would you consider yourself like a power puncher? Like, do you feel like the times where you have dropped people and or got knockouts, like they were really hard punches, or do you feel like they were just like well timed out?
Well, so power is something you either have or you don't. Me and my coach talk about it all the time. There's people who hit hard, and then there's people who have, there's different kinds of power. Right? There's that thudding power where you get hit and it like feels like you're getting lunged back, right? Then there's that pop where you get hit and you're seeing like you blank out for a second. So I mean, there's different kinds, but I think power is something you either have or you don't. So obviously you can improve it with the proper strength and conditioning, but you can only hit a certain level. So I wouldn't consider myself a power puncher. I do think I was blessed with being able to hit harder than the average person, just from what all my opponents have told me and fellow training partners. But um, yeah, I just think proper technique and just skill and putting yourself and immersing yourself in any possibility you can with different styles of fighting and just being well known with that gives you that comfortability in a fight where you can say, "Oh, I've seen this before. I know what to do." That's why I always tell amateur fighters, don't rush to be a pro. I think a lot of people see the lights and fame of, "Oh, I want to be a pro fighter. I want to do this. I want the title of a pro fighter. I want to fight in these big promotions." But you don't want to rush there because you learn all that through your amateur. I
Right,
tell people be immature, see every look you could possibly get before you turn pro. That way, you're not being surprised by anything. But you know,
right, and that's why I fought as an amateur for so long. Like, uh, when I fought in St. Louis in January, this I was in the back talking to some other fighters, and I was like, "Yeah, this is my 26th fight." He's like, "You're not." And he's like, "Dude, why are you not pro yet?" I'm like, "Well, because I wanted to make sure I get a lot of different looks and get a lot of experience before I go pro, so I don't have to go back and try to backtrack and think, oh, well, I didn't learn this, I didn't learn that, and like because
yeah,
once you go pro, ain't no going back.
can't go back.
All
Yeah,
them 26 fights I had as an amateur, don't nobody care about that. Ain't nobody looking
right.
that up. Like that's done. Now I'm one of those a pro, and this is gonna build from there. There's no going back. So I mean, yeah, that's a lot of people do rush it. They have, especially MMA fighters. Kickboxers and boxing is different. They're gonna have a lot of fights as an amateur. But in
Right.
MMA, dude, you got a guy who'll go 6-0 and feel like he's on top of the world, then go pro and realize, hey, guess what? You not that sharp and mixing up these different martial arts, and there's a lot you don't know.
Which is crazy because it's funny because like in boxing and kickboxing, you see people with hundreds of amateur fights, right?
Yeah.
And that's one discipline. And then MMA, you see people like you said will take like 5 or 6 amateur fights and then turn pro. And it's like there's so many disciplines you're tying into one sport, and so for you to just jump the gun that fast, I think it's so quick because how can you like me personally? People are like, how come you don't do MMA? How come you don't do MMA? It's like I still feel like I haven't mastered kickboxing or Muay Thai, and I've had X amount of fights. But I mean, I'm a very like not I would say OCD bad, but like I want to solidify my name in one thing before I move on to another. You know what I mean? And I just feel
Right.
like I haven't done that yet. So for me, it's like I see people jump the gun and turn pro right away in MMA, and I just think about all the different arts that are tied into one sport. And it's just crazy to think that like people feel comfortable right off the bat to do that. So
Yeah, when you truly understand the levels to these arts, like you're gonna look at yourself as a martial artist and think to yourself, I suck. Like I'll go back and watch my videos, or I'll like when I'm training, I literally would think to myself, I'd be like, oh, I'm ass. Like, because I know that I might be at level I might be at level 30. Everyone else is like the majority of people are down at level 5, but guess what? I know that there's a level 100. So
right,
it's like I'm constantly trying to get more smooth with all the different techniques. And it's like, dude, there's just so many levels, and I know that I will never be as good as I want to be. Never.
right, yeah.
Just be
And
like,
I think every fighter's their own critic. You know what I mean? Um,
oh
I mean,
no,
I
not.
do the
Hey,
same thing.
look, I'm gonna tell you this, brother. Look, most of them are not. Most fighters, I'm telling you, look, most fighters, bro, they're at level 5 and they think they're at level 30. I swear to God. I just know, I see it, and how they talk, how they carry themselves. They think that they're so much better than they are. And the thing about me, I know a lot of people probably think that about me, but if you actually watch my content, you know I'm very humble, and I'm actually pretty intelligent. So I know the level I'm at. I know what I'm capable of. I can watch another fighter. I can watch his last 5 fights, and I know if I can beat that guy or if I
Right,
can't. Most people, they don't even know. They just want to believe they can, but they're just not that intelligent, or they're not truly taking a third party look at themselves. Like, I've had times where I've told fighters what they were doing. Like, say I'm holding pads for them, and I tell them, look, you keep doing this, you keep doing this. They're like, no, I'm not. And now I'll be like, okay, I'll get out the camera, I'll record them, and then I'll show it to them, and they'll be all wide eyed, like, "Oh, you're right." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, because I can see what you're doing. You can't see it, but you're not trying to feel it." So,
right.
a lot of fighters, bro, they actually think that they're better than they are, for real.
I mean, again, we have this conversation. We talk about surrounding yourself with people that have the, like-minded interests involved. And so even like my coach, Quinn O'Brien, we, after fights, if it's a win, we always say, congratulations, good fight. But opportunities of where we think we can work on, right? And that's like immediately after the fight. Like he's cut my hand wraps off and he's like, hey, you did X, Y, and Z good, but I think you could have done A, B, C, and better. You kind of, steered from the game plan at this point. Your positioning was off here. We're gonna get back in the gym. We're gonna work on these. And because sometimes after the fight, you're on a high, and you think, wow, I did really good. I couldn't have done anything better. And then you watch it back, and you're like, wow, he was right. You know what I mean? So again, it's comes down to surrounding yourself with people who have like-minded interests in you and want to see you get to that next level. So
So, I know you might not want to give away any little tips and tricks you have, but if you do, are there any like tricks and tips you have for a person, let's say, that is struggling to show up and perform on fight night? And this ain't from look, this question ain't for me, because you know what I'm saying. I look, hey,
for the
I
fans,
look,
yeah,
man, I show up and I do my no, but seriously, if there's some things that you're doing that will help you perform, I would try them out myself, because I
yeah,
feel like a lot of fighters, they try to just like figure it out on their own and don't take the advice from other fighters. Like, but
yeah.
there's a lot of things you can do leading up to a fight, like specifically on fight night, that will help you perform your best, and you don't get in there and all your training just kind of goes out the window.
Right. I mean, other than having an extensive amateur career and putting yourself in um, positions where that are tough and you can excel from, and being able to see every look you possibly can. Outside of that, in terms of like mentally, I'm really big into visualization. I literally think about me showing up to the venue, me doing the face off, me walking up to the ring, me and my coach doing our pre-workout before we, gearing up for the fight, me walking up to the ring, me saying, me hugging my coaches, him saying you ready, me walking in, me look the face down, me going through the first round, me going through the second round. I do all that over and over and over every day, every other day. And then, filming your sparring, I think is big. I think people I think there's a negative aspect that to it as well. A lot of people will film their sparring and then post highlights. I, I don't do that. I like to film my sparring. I watch it, I learn from it, and then I delete it. I'll never post a video of me knocking somebody out in the gym, especially if it's somebody who is also putting in the work day in and
You
day
be
out with
knocking people
me.
out in the gym?
No, no, no. I'm just saying if that were
Oh.
to happen, you know what I
Man, he
mean?
does.
But I would,
Hey, he does knock people out of the gym. I
I'm
see
just
he
saying,
just looked. To...
I'm just saying, I'll never post a video of, you know, me sparring just because I think it gives a negative connotation to what your goal is. That's instant gratification, and I'm looking for,
So seriously though, have you knocked people out sparring before?
yeah,
Dang, I've never
yeah,
done that.
yeah,
I've knocked
yeah.
people down, but I've never knocked no one out. I did dislocate someone's jaw though with a kick.
Yeah, see, and it's not intentional. I think you're just sparring, and then sometimes things can ramp up, or sometimes you can land a shot you don't expect to land like that, and it just does. And it's never intentional. I don't think I'm trying. I'm not trying to hurt anybody, but it's just you're gearing up for fights, and you just, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Sometimes it
well,
happens.
I would love to come up there and train with y'all sometime. And if I do, trust and believe, you're not gonna knock me out because you hit me with 20% power to the head. I'm like, hey, brother, can we just go a little bit lighter? Like
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
bro,
yeah.
look,
But the thing is, I'm also not that guy. I think a lot of people have that, like, if we're gonna go hard, we're gonna go hard. It's like anytime I go with anybody, I'm going the pace they want to go, and if it
right?
picks up from there, it picks up. But I'm never like an ego fighter where you're trying to hurt me, I'm gonna hurt you. It's always, I'm
Yeah,
past that stage of my life. So
you got a lot of that still to this day, and I mean, I feel like you see more and more fighters speaking up on that, especially like the older fighters, the ones that are retiring and stuff. Like, hey, man, we were going so hard, and that's why some of us can't remember our grocery list. That's why we got CT. That's why a lot of us get headaches, and like we were just so dumb. And like Conor McGregor said it best, updating the software without damaging the hardware. And
yeah,
so, like at my
it's true.
dojo, like I'm an instructor. Me and my teammate Gavlin, we have our own dojo, and man, I don't let anyone. I tell them, look, when you punch someone to the head when we're sparring, you just touch. Do not hit each other hard in the head because we want to have a long career. We don't want to have freaking Parkinson's. Now, when we
Right,
go to the body, I expect once we hit like about like round 3 and 4 and we've sped up a little bit, I want to see people trying to drop each other with body shots because you're not going to hurt your teammate with a body shot. You might drop them,
well,
but they'll be all
we do
right.
a thing where I do think hard rounds are necessary in order to get ready for a fight, because you are going to be in spots, and because I mean, like when we do hard rounds, it's really when we have fights lined up and we're ramping up for the fight, and we're doing fresh bodies each round, sometimes fresh bodies halfway through the round, and you're just getting, you know, new bodies and people that are bigger, smaller, faster,
Yeah, Shark
slower, people
Tank.
that hit harder. Yeah, you're getting shark tanks. And so, really, I think that's good for you because it gives you that mindset and clarity that, I am ready for this fight, or, things that you need to work on, or how you react in certain rounds or against certain looks. So I do think that's necessary, but to do that consistently on a regular basis or multiple times throughout the week, I do think is wrong. But I do think you do need hard rounds in order to prepare for a fight.
See, me personally, like what I consider like hard rounds. Like I said, we go hard to the body. Like when we're throwing kicks, punches to the body, leg kicks and stuff, we will go hard.
Yeah.
Like I will go 100% power to the body. But with our headshots, like I tell everyone, like if they want to, if y'all two want to do that over there, and y'all can do that. But when you spar with me, you better not hit me hard in the head because,
Right.
like, bro, one hard headshot, and when I go home, I got a headache. I just know that it's not good for my brain. And also,
Right.
I don't need that. That's not good. I don't feel like I need to get hit hard in the head to be able to get hit hard in the head in the fight. Like I've already proven
Right.
to myself through fights I had, I know I can take a lick. And if I
Right.
take licks in sparring, then I'm actually because the thing is you can't strengthen your chin; it only gets weaker. So if you're getting hit hard in the head during training, it's just gonna make your chin weaker as your career progresses. So that's why I make it a point to make sure we don't rock each other when we're training. Like go light to the head, and you're gonna look. You go 10 rounds with me, I'll never hit you hard to the head one time. But by that 10th round, you're gonna be so drained, so gassed, you're gonna feel like you just went 10 rounds because I'm going to go hard
Right.
to the body and I'm going to push the pace. But yeah, at my gym, we don't go hard to the head. Like you would never look over and see someone wobbled from a headshot unless like I throw a shot and the timing's perfect and they come into it and I just so happen
Right.
and didn't get it pulled back quick enough. That's the only time when they're coming into it. But yeah, I make it a point to make sure we protect our brains because I feel like I mean, for one, that's what you're supposed to be doing in the first place. But yeah, I
Yeah, no,
just
I agree.
I just worry so much about our brains and man, like Muhammad Ali, bro, is my favorite fighter of all time, and look how he ended up with Parkinson's, and I don't want that to happen to anyone I ever train with. So that's just kind of our style. But I know, other people they like to get the hard rounds where they trying to drop each other.
Yeah, I think Canelo said in his earlier days he was sparring 4 days a week, and so I mean
Crazy.
that's crazy. But I mean that's also boxers they got a different training method than a lot of other martial arts. So
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people probably would look at my method and think like I'm maybe taking it a little bit too extreme. But look, man, I want to live to at least like 90, and I want to be very cognitively healthy, and so that's why I make it a point like we don't have to hit each other hard in the head, like, and hopefully even when you fight you don't get hit hard in the head, so you can have a 20-year career and say, oh, I never actually got hit hard in the head because not in
yeah,
training and not in your fights, like. So that's just kind of what we do, but it's different everywhere.
yeah.
Um, so what are we at for time, Ashley? Hour 10. Okay. I don't want to keep you too long. I see it's getting dark out there. And I know you got to get with your kids and stuff. Is there anything you wanted to talk about as far as which I mean, I got time. I ain't kicking you off. I'll let that be known, but is there anything you want to talk about specifically? Maybe, fights you got coming up or you want to give a shout out to any supporters? Is there anything you would like to talk about?
Um, I'm on the spot, so I don't really have anything specific. But
Yeah.
man, I appreciate the time. It was good to sit down and talk with you about everything. And yeah, man, anytime you want to come out, you're more than welcome to. So just hit me up.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to have you back on. Maybe even before your next fight, we could do like a
Yeah,
little, like it don't have to be a long format one. It could be a little quick one just to kind of put something out for your fight. I definitely
sure.
want to help shine a light on the fights you got coming up. And so you got any people you want to give a shout out to? Obviously, I know you're gonna give a shout out to your wife and your kids and stuff and your trainers. So
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to Quentin O'Brien. He's my head coach, man. I wouldn't be where I'm at today without him. Uh, sometimes I take him for granted, but he does more for me than anybody's done so far in my career. So I appreciate him. My team, everyone at KBC, Raj, everyone that's helped me out and get to where I'm at today. And yeah, man, my wife for sure. I mean, it's when you have two kids, we're both working full time, and she's let me train 6 days a week, 2, 3 times a day for fights, and hold it down at the house and still be there and help me out with everything I need. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do it without her. So appreciate her. But yeah, man, thanks for letting me come on, and it was a good time talking to you. And yeah, for sure, let's do it again. I had a good time.
okay, you got any sponsors or anything you want to shout out to or?
Yeah, HK, USA, Nick Sampson, that dude, he's done a lot for me as well. So I appreciate him. And Bow Point, my guys out here in St. Louis, any landscaping needs that you need, they got you. So those are my two big ones right now.
Awesome. Sweet. Okay, so yeah, this was awesome, man, and I'm looking forward to the next one. There's so much there is to talk about. That's what I love about podcasts, man. You get to kind of dive into the person and like we talked about a lot of stuff, but we haven't gotten into any stories. Next time, I'm going to make sure we get into some stories. I know you got some good stories about fighting and traveling and stuff, so we'll definitely have to do that next time. Everybody, please go and subscribe to the channel and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I got a TikTok account too. Let's get these numbers up, guys, because we got to get these interviews out there so people can know about the people I bring on. This podcast is not so much about me; it's about the people I'm bringing on, and that's why I don't do any solo podcasts. Like, I bring people on and shed light on them. So make sure you subscribe, share this with your family members and friends, and once again, this podcast is brought to you by Duke Concrete Finishing. You see it on the shirt. Okay, VIP Lock Studio. You need your locks retwisted. You need some hair done. Go to them here in Cape Girardeau. And then Golden Eagle Tattoo. If you want to get some tattoo work done, go to Golden Eagle Tattoo here in Cape. And hey guys, I got t-shirts, I got merch. So hit me up if you want some merch. If you want to get some training done here in Cape. If you want to learn how to fight, come on, man. You know who to go to. Like, where else you gonna go here in Cape? I'm the best around. Unless you want to just do jiu-jitsu, then go to Carpe Momentum Jiu-Jitsu. Okay? If you're in St. Louis, you want to get some striking work in, you see who to hit up. This is the man. I think you're probably like, I don't know what the actual ranking is online, which we don't care much about that, but I'm pretty sure you're probably ranked at the very top, like number 1 in the Midwest. I mean, you do have a U.S.A. kickboxing title, so, I mean, we can't say you're like the best in the U.S.A.,
Yeah, I think I was ranked number 1 in the WBC for Muay Thai back in July. So
there you have it. So if you're in St. Louis, you're interested in getting some work in, or if you are already a fighter and you want to increase your skills, you need to hit up Drew. All right, brother. Thanks for
man,
coming
appreciate
on.
it.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe. Deuces.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Take care.